Conference championships draw ever so closer, but we're still a couple of weeks away from that. So here's my current college football top 25. But stick with me till the end of the video. I'm going to give you my top 5 Heisman contenders as the Heisman race is heating up. But what's crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy Broshmo. Just in case you did not know, so go ahead, become bro and subscribe. Leave this video a thumbs up if you enjoy the content. As always, let me know what you think in the comment section below, where we have that nice, beautiful football discourse. Let's go ahead, get into my current college football top 25, starting with the fallers on my list being Fresno State and Tennessee, both losing this weekend in kind of blowouts. I mean, Fresno State goes down to San Jose State 42-18, and this is a big blow to them in the race for the Mountain West, as now they are a game behind both Air Force, who did lose this week, and UNLV. And then Tennessee, it doesn't get much easier for them, as they have to now go take on Georgia. Fortunately, this will be a home game for Tennessee, but it's hard to see them winning that game. Georgia probably got their eyes locked on that SEC title game, which looks like it'll probably be Alabama. But here are my 5 teams that just missed the list, starting with Troy. They laid a beat down on Louisiana Monroe, 45-14. I believe they are currently first. I think they've actually won their division in the Sun Belt, as they're 2 games ahead. So it looks like they will be taking on potentially Appalachian State, Coastal Carolina, because I'm pretty positive JMU, even though they're undefeated, they should be competing for the Sun Belt. They are uneligible, since they are a former FCS team. They got to sit through like 2 years before that they're bowl eligible and conference championship eligible. It's stupid. It's ridiculous. But SMU, Memphis, both 8-2, both with some big wins, or at least they scored some big points, as SMU beat North Texas 45-21. You had Memphis in a much closer game, winning 44-38 over Charlotte, and I believe that they will take on one another in is it next week? Yeah, next week. SMU, Memphis. So that's why I didn't include them in my top 25, because I imagine one of those teams will then elevate themselves into the top 25. And then Iowa, they're the most boring team to watch. They get a win against Rutgers 22-0. Both had fabulous defenses, but I mean, Iowa's 8-2, and they don't feel like an 8-2 team. But here they are. UNLV, big one against Wyoming, 34-14. Like I said earlier, they're currently eligible to play for the conference championship game. After a few weeks ago, I think they lost a nail-biter to Fresno State, but they're in the driver's seat to go on and take on Air Force for the Mountain West title. So, hey, man, Rebels, they back. But let's go ahead, get to this top 25, starting with Kansas. Rough loss for Kansas as they go down to Texas Tech, 16-13. They did lose Jason Bean, who was their backup quarterback. Jayden Daniels not playing. Jason Bean, he goes down relatively early in this game, and Kansas just can't do enough to overtake the Red Raiders there. So tough loss for Kansas. Kansas is a team that I always find myself rooting for. And then Kansas State, welcome back to the top 25. They kind of deserve it. They will be actually taking on Kansas next week. Kansas State taking on Kansas next week, but Kansas State laid the beat down on Baylor 59-25. Oklahoma State, man, they just had to finish the story, and instead RJ Harvey has a huge game, and Central Florida whips Oklahoma State 45-3. So that I mean, a lot of these losses for the Big 12 kind of puts Oklahoma into the driver's seat to get a rematch there with Texas, but Oklahoma State, I think they're still in the driver's seat. They just need a win out from here, because they hold the tiebreaker over Oklahoma. So Godspeed. Godspeed. And then we have Arizona here at 22, new team in my top 25 here. They have been rolling. They had the close win this past week against Colorado in Boulder, winning 34-31. But this is a team, feels like ever since that close game against USC, I mean, they had a close game against Washington, then the big wins over just smacking Washington State, big win against Oregon State, big win against UCLA. Like, this team is rolling. Good on them. And then Toledo earlier in the week, getting the easy win over Eastern Michigan, 49-23. I do love me some Toledo. I believe they kind of wrapped up their division in the MAC already. Excuse me. Yeah, they've already wrapped it up. We'll see if they'll be taking on Miami, Ohio in the MAC conference, the MAC championship game. Ohio and Bowling Green are still kind of in the run-in there in the East. And then at 20, Tulane. I can't move this team up. All their games have been so close recently. What is up with this Tulane team? They don't look nearly as strong as they did in the early parts of the season. They win 24-22, and they still got to take on, at the end of the year, a hot UTSA team. They've gotten healthy. They're playing great football. They're rolling. So Tulane, they're in danger here. Because UTSA wins that, I believe they end up going to the American Conference Championship. Yeah, because currently UTSA is 6-0 in conference play. I mean, things could get a little bit more muddied with if SMU loses to Memphis, then you're dealing with a bunch of potentially one-loss teams vying for that third spot or that second spot. We'll see. It's going to be very interesting. LSU, Jayden Daniels, we'll talk about him later in the video. Heisman performance. Banger game from him. They just put up too many points. Florida just couldn't keep up. They win 52-35. They are the best 3-loss team in college football. They are. And then Utah, tough loss against Washington. They had a couple of things break their way, but they just couldn't do enough to beat the undefeated Huskies. They ended up going down 35-28. And let's talk about North Carolina. Might be one of the worst 2-loss teams out there, at least from the looks of it, because they should have struggled against a Riley Leonard-less Duke Blue Devils. Instead, they go to double overtime, winning 47-45 after Duke can't convert the two-point conversion. This North Carolina defense is terrible. It is bad. It is bad. But they're holding on, hoping to make that ACC championship game, though they need a few things to happen for that to be the case. And then James Madison, they might not be eligible for a bowl game. They might not be eligible to win their conference championship, but they are undefeated. They are rolling. They are a covering machine. Remember, good teams win. Great teams cover. They beat UConn 44-6. And then Ole Miss coming here at 15. Tough loss against Georgia. I think Jackson Dart eventually got hurt in the game, but by that point, the game was pretty out of reach. They lose in Athens. Athens, tough place to win, but they lose 52-17 by a large margin. So they're kind of big fallers here for me. Liberty moving up to 14. They just beat the brakes off of Old Dominion, 38-10. They are undefeated. Their offense is just pure fireworks. They are the driver's seat for Conference USA for that championship. And then Oklahoma moves up a few spots. I think 4 spots here for me. Beating West Virginia 59-20. I think Dylan Gabriel had 8 total touchdowns in this game. Kind of ridiculous, but Oklahoma, man, they kind of need to win out, and I think they also need a loss from Oklahoma State, in conference loss. That is, we'll see if that can happen. So kind of their fate's out of their hands at this point. Penn State, freaking Penn State, man. When they have to face a tough defense, the offense does what? I'll tell you what it doesn't do. Show up. This was a demoralizing game against Michigan. Yeah, you look at the final score, 24-15. Oh, it was pretty close. Michigan came out in the second half and did nothing but run the football. They were like, Oh no, yeah, we can eat all day. We'll just run the football, control the game, control the time of possession. Offense has done nothing for Penn State. Demoralizing victory. It's like you look at this team and you're like, yeah, no, like there is a clear tier between Michigan and Ohio State compared to the Nittany Lions, unfortunately. Clear tier. Oregon State moving up to 11 for me. Beat the brakes off of Stanford. This one kind of shocked me a little bit. I was a little surprised. But Oregon going 8-2, winning against Stanford 62-17. If we want to take a quick look at the Pac-12 race right now. Currently, all these 2-loss teams like Arizona and Oregon State, currently the only 2-loss teams in the conference play, that is. They need Oregon to lose. Can that happen? Well, for the Beavers, it can. It can, because they closed the season with Oregon. So things get a little weird if Washington loses. But Oregon, as of right now, they control their fate. They just need to put away. Who do they got next week? They need to put away. Let's check out these Beavers real quick. Washington. Oh, gosh. Golly. Oregon kind of has to win out. So, fortunately, they get Washington at home. But then they have to travel to Oregon. So, realistically, I think they have to win both those games. Right? I mean, is there a world that Oregon loses to Arizona State? I don't think so, because that's who Oregon will have next week. So, yeah. Beavers control their own destiny. Unfortunately, it's going to be the hardest slate of the season as they take on Washington and then Oregon. So, Godspeed, Beavers. Godspeed. Let's go to the top 10. Starting with Mizzou. Just a beating Tennessee. 36-7. They are a real good feel-good story this year. A team with a lot of offense and a very underrated defense. It's just unfortunate, man. Unfortunate that they had to travel to Athens. They put up a good fight, but fell short against Georgia. This week, they just beat the tar out of Tennessee 36-7. Louisville in control of their own destiny as they beat Virginia 31-24. By the way, this Friday night game was kind of close. I think it was Friday night. It was Friday night where Louisville came roaring back because this team can produce a lot of offense very quickly. Came roaring back and managed to take the lead. But, man, Virginia's been a little feisty, man. I mean, they had the big win against North Carolina. They almost surprised Miami. So, man, Virginia's like, hey, we ain't a team to sleep on in here. We really ain't. But Louisville, they have one more conference team conference game, I should say, to close the season before they go against Kentucky, and it's the Hurricanes. And being a Hurricanes fan, I could tell you, I think Louisville's going to eat. I think they're going to eat. So I think we're going to see Florida State, Louisville for the ACC championship game. And then Alabama, I want to move Alabama ahead of Texas so bad, but I just can't. Texas has the tiebreaker. They won the game. I mean, I feel like this is a very different, like, from that moment, this Texas team is radically different compared to this Bama team. This Bama team's getting hot. Milrose playing really good football. And then Texas, well, Quinn Ewers, he was kind of like, his play was a little sporadic, and then now he's out injured. They almost let TCU come back and win. But TCU scored like 20 points in the fourth quarter. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. I think at this point in the year, Alabama probably beats Texas. But right now, Texas has that tiebreaker. They just do. So I just can't, in good conscience, put Bama ahead of Texas. Then Oregon, best one-loss team in football. Bo Nix, 4 tutties here against USC, winning 36-27. They will go face Arizona State next week and then have to clean things up or at least finish the season against Oregon State at home. Then my top 5 remains the same. Washington got things done against Utah, winning 35-28. They will take on the Beavers this week. That's going to be a fun matchup. Is that the matchup this week, or is it following week? I think it's following week. Yeah. It's going to be November. No, it is next week. That might be our watch party game then. Let's see. They got a time for that game yet? 5:30. Ooh, might be the watch game, because that's a big game for Oregon State. Might be the watch along. But yeah, we got Ohio State. They beat a very down Michigan State team that's gone through a lot this season. They win 38-3. Florida State being able to get things done against Miami. Miami gets the touchdown late to make it look closer than what it actually felt like. Haha, Hurricanes, they're not good. The Seminoles now going to 10-0. Georgia beating the absolute tar out of Ole Miss. Ole Miss could not stop the run game. Georgia played their kind of football. Lad McConkey looked like a monster. They win 52-17. Michigan kind of talked about that, how basically they didn't have to do much to beat Penn State. They saw Penn State, oh, they can't get any offense going, and we could run for days. Let's run for days, and they controlled the time of possession. They win. They're 10-0. We eagerly await Michigan versus Ohio State to see who will at least go on to compete for the Big Ten title. But let's be honest, that's kind of the conference championship game. I don't think Iowa's beaten either of those squads. Listen, I know you love the NFL draft as much as I do, and you're going to want a nice hefty watch list of players during this college football season. Well, go ahead, check out my draft guide. You can purchase it for only $30 by Venmoing or PayPaling me. Links in the description. It's a one-time payment, and you get it for this whole draft cycle and forever and always. Technically, it's a Google spreadsheet, so send me your email when you send the payment. I'll get you hooked up. You will see my current prospect rankings and big board, my full evals, and guess what? It updates throughout the whole draft cycle. So it's a great purchase, and it's a great way to support the channel. Talking top 5 Heisman contenders, I want to start with Marvin Harrison Jr., who's having a very strong end of the season, basically running over Michigan State, and he actually kind of did. He had a 19-yard rushing touchdown, but he also had 2 receiving touchdowns, going for almost 150 yards. In this matchup, he finds himself 5th on my Heisman rankings. Next after that is J.J. McCarthy, a bit of a faller because they didn't really have to do much of anything. Did he pass the ball in the second half? I can't remember. He may have had a little screen, but he only goes 7-8 for 60 yards, 34 rushing yards. Didn't have to do anything in this game, man. Kind of hurts his Heisman chances, in my opinion, because I think these top 3, this is the meat of the race. These top 3 is where we're going to find our Heisman winner, in my opinion. And I got to start with Jayden Daniels. I know his team might have 3 losses, but Jayden Daniels, I might end up moving him to 1. He's been playing that well. Really has. He went 17-26 for over 370 yards. He ran for over 230 yards. 5 total tutties. It was literally a Heisman moment. Every moment Daniels had the football. Might make a move to number 1. Again, these top 3 are exceptionally close for me. I got Bo Nix here at number 2. He had 4 tutties against USC. Love to see it. He throws for over 400 yards. Not a lot of people talking about Bo Nix, and they should, man. He's playing really good football. And then, of course, Michael Penix, still my number 1, 3 total touchdowns against Utah. He's playing good football, but could find himself maybe getting passed up by the likes of a Jayden Daniels or a Bo Nix. Again, these are kind of your 3 front runners, in my opinion. But you let me know what you think in the comment section below. That's it for the video. Go ahead, do that YouTube thing, and as always, until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.